welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Evil Live. I'm your host, Evil Tyrone, aka Tyrone Williams. I have some very special guests in the building tonight to chat it up with me tonight about our favorite genre, horror. We got the hosts of the Sex and Horror podcast. Also, we have the erotic horror, science fiction, fantasy authors themselves, Chantell, Renee, and Dicey Grinner. How are you guys doing tonight?
Hi, we're great.
Great.
Yes. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. It's always definitely fun chopping it up with new people that I haven't chopped it up with in the community.
Evil, that was a nice intro. Chantell, we got to step it up. Did you see
I know, but we need more guys as G-strings for ours.
Yes. I mean, thank you for that. My buddy Jonathan Bowie, he did the music for me, made my own theme song. So I was like, I gotta throw an intro up there. We got Jaleesa Taylor in the building saying, "Hey,
hi, Jaleesa.
Thank you for stopping by." We got Dice in the building. I heard there would be a lovely individual named Dicey, so I had to show up.
Another Dice.
Yes. Thank you for showing up. So, I just we can get into it. Sex and horror. Like, how did you guys get into? How did you guys come up with the name first? First of all, how did you come up with the name?
We thought of being a woman. What do we put up with the most? Horrible sex. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I like that. But on the real, we were talking. I remember we were in, was it Chili's that day?
I think so, yeah.
We were just chopping it up. We were talking about our books because I write a lot of sex and horror, sometimes just erotic stuff, sometimes horror stuff, and sometimes a combination of the two. And I know Chantell writes a whole lot of horror, and I know she started adding some sex recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we were talking about doing a horror podcast, and I was like, but how can we, do something different? So let's just add the sex part to it, because I knew some people that were in the erotic industry and stuff like that. Like, that would be a great way to combine the two. So we just sex and horror.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. Now we got two horror authors here. So Chantell, how did you get into the industry as far as a horror author? As far as writing.
Well, honestly, I've always been a poet since I was very young, and everything I wrote was very emo. So, I'm Scorpio. That's the first thing I tell people when they ask about my writing. So everything is going to be dark, and I'm just naturally, you can ask Dicey if there's a ghost. Somebody's like, "Ooh, something weird happened in my house." I'm like, "Where? I want to see. You got some pictures?" Like, I'm all about like checking out the creepy, weird shit. That's just. I have over 18 or more Ouija boards. I have haunted dolls. Wow. I used to work at an oddity shop, so I make a lot of oddities. So I made that planchette.
Yes.
And so, I'm really kind of that's just always been me.
Yes, love it. How about you, Dicey?
How did I get into it? Like Chantell, I've always kind of been on the dark side of things. So anytime someone is talking about a story idea or anything that resonates with me, I always turn it dark. So that's just a natural thing. It's more exciting to me, I guess, or I'm just comfortable there. And so vampires is where I started. And that's because I just love vampires. I always have. I read, watch anything vampire related. And I just wanted to make sure that it was adult. So I didn't want, like Twilight, even though I enjoyed Twilight, I wanted something closer to like True Blood or Charlene Harris's Sookie Stackhouse series. So I started down that path, and I just let it take over. I let the characters take over and write what they wanted to write after I got started.
And it's more sexy, right?
Yeah. And I probably was going through some things at the time too. So it's my way of working through whatever is going on in here. So I'm working through my own traumatic experiences. I'm working through my own
human interactions,
Yeah.
probably.
And I don't want to act like a horn dog or nothing, but I stay in a sexy frame of mind. So it's a way to get that out too, without getting in trouble, because the real world has consequences. So this way I can just be as free and as loose as I want to be without doing anything but titillating whoever's reading it.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Now you mentioned the Sookie Stackhouse series, I didn't read the books, but I did see True Blood. So how did you guys like the books from the show, as far as like the horror aspects and the sex? Because I know there was a lot of sex in the show.
A lot, yeah. She's showing you her Sookie back there.
I got a poster right up here above my head. That's my constant inspiration right there. It stays with me.
I can tell you, I like the books better just because I felt like there was just a better, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I felt like she was just a better character in the books than she was on screen. Does that make sense? But I did like the show because there was a shit ton of hot guys. I mean,
I loved the books. I devoured them. And I loved the show. But I did not like how Alan Ball went with some of the storylines, like some of the characters. So except for Lafayette, keeping Lafayette on past his expiration date in the books was top tier. That was the best thing for the show. I love that. But like what would happen with Tara and all that. There was just a lot of different things that I didn't like the direction that the show went. But I enjoyed that we had the show, so I was still going to watch it no matter what. It went a little bit different, and not in a good way necessarily, but it was. I'm going to watch it because it's vampires anyway, and it was adult, so it was.
Yeah.
It was a lot of wild. It was a lot of wild things in that show. I remember when it first came out, and just the way that they would illustrate some of the things going on. I was like, oh wow, this is some heavy hardcore, especially as the seasons progressed, and then we got love triangles and adding more people, and it was getting
it got
wild.
a little crazy with all the orgy stuff. I was like, I don't know what this is, that season where you're like, what the what? They're jumping the shark, you know what I mean? It was just going past what I thought they really had the wherewithal to handle. And of course, I'm with those who were unhappy with the ending compared to the book's ending. I was not happy with the ending.
I think other than Lafayette, the other best thing that came out of the show for me was Eric Northman, Alexander Skarsgård, playing Eric Northman. I thought that was perfect casting. So I'm not so sure about everybody else, but that one for sure was spot on. I was very pleased with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah, he was definitely in one of the highlights of the show. He was at first I did not like him at all, but he grew on me, as time progressed, but yeah, it was definitely a time. Now my next question for you guys would be, how do you feel like the erotic and its how do you feel about the erotic and its relationship, with horror? Because throughout the decades we've seen, sex has always been like a part of the horror genre, and there's been like different levels. Like there's been like, we've had like our soft sensual stuff, like sometimes if you watch like the HBO late night, or Cinemax, back when we had Cinemax and stuff like that, to now, or when we have like, we'll have sex, but it's like, I honestly feel like it's toned down a little bit lately, like as far as like what we're seeing in the films. Like I think back in like the 80s, there was more like, the teen sex horror thing or whatever. But how do you guys feel about sex's relationship with horror?
I
I
always
think
want to
first.
see more. I always want to see more. I always feel like
Yeah.
it's lacking. And I agree with you on the toned down part. I really do feel like it's toned down. But I'm sure the Me Too movement and stuff like that had something to do with it. Now there are who are the set people that come in, the sensitivity coordinators and stuff like that, making sure that things are done appropriately, that no one is offended, that they're not showing more than they
The
want
whole
to.
crew isn't on the set
Yeah,
when they're
yeah.
filming that stuff.
So, and I get that. And because watching it for me, that might appeal to my voyeuristic nature, but there are humans on the other side of that. There are people that are having to get naked. They have to feel comfortable on set. They have to allow somebody to touch them. They have to allow themselves to be exposed and stuff like that. So I get there has to be a balance. It's not just me watching and enjoying.
Yeah.
I have to accept the fact that there are people over there that needs to feel comfortable and everything. But however much people want to add into it, it's not too much to me. I don't even mind gratuitous. I know some people are like, well, it needs to further the story. Well, not to me. Like, as long as it's a good scene, I'm okay with that. We can take a detour over here if we need to, if it's a great visual scene. So it's never too much. I always want to see more, but I do want the actors to want to do it. I don't want them to be coerced. I don't want them to feel like they have to do something just for a paycheck and all that. I feel like there are enough actors and actresses that you can get people who enjoy doing that and then pay them well, because they're on strike right now too.
Yeah.
But and then pay them for the service that they're doing.
Exactly. I feel like I feel like sex is that's the wrong word. I feel like sex is very important with horror because it is another way to bring out vulnerability. Yes. And that's another way to affect our listener or watcher or our reader, to make them go, oh my gosh, that's, it's an automatic uncomfortableness. Like, here's this creature and it's about to do something and this person's all of a sudden not got clothes on. It just adds another layer of confusion and fear that we all experience. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen to you? You're in bed, you took a shower before bed, you're asleep naked, and then an intruder comes in.
Right.
You're like, oh shit, what do I do? Like, you don't know what to do, right? I always think I'm going to just walk up in there all butt naked and be like, what's up, motherfucker? And then I'll do what I got to do. That might distract them because one boob will be over here and the other one will be way down there. Like karate boob.
Yeah.
And
I agree with Chantell about the vulnerability, but the other thing is sex is still so taboo, but why? It's a natural part of our lives. It's a natural occurrence. If there is a zombie breakout, why don't people take the time to actually have sex? I mean, like, why are we having a show with all this violence and nobody is sneaking off to get it on? Like,
it's not human nature. Yeah,
it is definitely a part of what happens and what we have going on. So I don't see why we should shirk around that, but then blow heads off on a regular basis. We should have both.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh. I definitely agree. I think that there's a lot lacking right now. I think in some ways we have like progressed, but I think in some ways, a lot of ways we have regressed, as a society, especially because like I said before, back then we used to have like the HBO stuff, the Cinemax stuff, and now we got recently Bridgerton, which a lot of people were going up for, and I'm like, and I sat there and watched it with my fiance, and I'm like, okay, this is dope. But I was like, they need something like this on Netflix for the horror genre. Because I think it would, and you could dial up, like you said, the sex on that, because I feel like there is a market for it. People would definitely check out.
I want to do that. That's what I want to bring. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to bring. That's what I want to do.
Yes.
And also I think, guys, we're fighting against, I mean, I have nothing against religion, but
Mm-hmm.
the religious part of this country has been the oppressive thing that we're fighting against. And though we all say, you know, well, my church doesn't believe that, but other people's churches do. I think honestly, we just have to learn to be accepting as long as no one is hurting anyone with what they believe. And then maybe we can get past all this hang up on sex, on violence, you know, and look, I mean, these things, this genre is here because there are things that people are not willing to see. And so we're writing and doing these and expressing these things to help people come to an understanding of certain parts of life. And that's
Yes.
all it's about. That's all any art is about.
And a lot that happens with sex. I know Chantell kind of was joking earlier about, you know, horrible sex is, you know, was how we came up with the title. But there are a lot of things, you know, in human nature that are sex related that are horrific. When we talk about human trafficking and skin trade, you know, that is entwining sex with horror. Like that is a real life thing that is happening. Grape. I'm used to using the word grape like for TikTok instead of the actual hard R. But, you know, those are real life horrors that happen with sex. So there's the part that is, it could be nice fantasy. You know, speaking of vampires, vampires are sexy to me just because there's a biting element and there's the element of fluid exchange. You know, it's an intimate, they have to be up close on you to bite you, you know. So it's there may be the sex and horror that's nice, that's titillating, but there is also the element that if you're going to talk about some really horrific things that happen sexually, like go there too. Like that is part of horror. That is horror.
There's a movie out. I hate to bring it up because it was pretty bad, but it is exactly what you're saying, and it's called Megan is Missing. And very hard to watch, about an abductor who takes young girls. I think they were 13 or 14, and then at the end they show what he does to one of them, and eventually what he does to both of them. And so it's pretty hard to watch. And then part of me is like, oh my God, now we have these freaking people who are who are into this child abuse and into doing these things, now have a movie they can masturbate watching. But then I'm like, at the same time, these young girls need to know this is reality, that you're putting yourself into a situation where you're meeting someone you never met before in a dark place. What are you thinking? You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's a sad thing that this is part of our world. But yeah, just like the schools doing drills now for shooters, they need to be aware that these horrible things that can happen are possible too. So, you know, Dicey's right. I mean, we have to show both sides.
Oh yeah, and I think like at a certain point, like we kind of like moved back from that. I think in the 90s, more in the 90s, they were more so like pushing those type of narratives where, you know, like a young girl is meeting up with some guy, or, you know, it's the creep in the shadows and stuff like that, you know. And then you had the 70s with the revenge hardcore, you know, horror with like the,
and they're bringing that back a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I spit on your grave.
Yeah, like some of the stuff is very, you know, like I've seen I Spit on Your Grave, and I seen it once, and I was like, I think I'm good, you know, I think I'm good, because some of the stuff is hard to watch, but you also know that it's a reality for a lot of people out there, you know, so it's definitely something horrific that happens, you know, so those stories need to be told as well, you know, so it's
and if nothing else, the people who have gone through hard things like that, if nothing else, they at least know, okay, I've survived that, and I'm okay, and I'll be okay. And sometimes those stories help with people who have gone through that.
True. Yeah. Or then it help them not to feel so alone also.
Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. Now so my next, what were you going to say?
I was just gonna say, so it can be entertaining, but it can also be educational.
Yes.
Yes. Entertaining and educational. I like that. Now, my next question would be, um, now you spoke a little bit about vampires earlier, and how sexy they are. So do you guys have like a favorite subgenre or sexiest subgenre of horror, out there?
It's interesting to think about. Is yours going to be vampires?
Well, vampires, yes, for sure. But I also, when it comes to horror, for me, I love the psychological horror more than like slasher. Like I can enjoy slasher, but I want to know like, well, why? And so when it's more like, why are you slashing? Like it's more of the backstory and all that. So when you have something that's more psychological, that kind of stays with me because I'm continuing to think about what all is happening, the different layers to it. So like the movie Smile, for instance, we were talking about whether there was really a monster or whether it was the representation of grief. So that's something that makes me sit and think. If I spend more time thinking about an aspect of a movie, it stays with me longer than just someone that's stabbing and chopping. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy that too.
Yeah.
When you have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when Leatherface is coming up there, the way he's ripping and dipping and terrified, the way he's chopping and hacking and just won't stop, that has that appeals to me too. But but after it's over, I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about concepts and ideas and ideologies and stuff like that. But I do with more psychological horror. So vampires would be my number one for sure. But then psychological.
I think for me, it's going to be supernatural and specifically like any kind of demon things, demonic stuff. There's The Witch, for example. Remember that movie a few years back that came out?
That's a good one.
I mean, it was so well done. And when we finally saw who the devil was, I was like, okay, sure, whatever you want me to do, man. Like he was hot. He handled everything very well. Like he ate those babies right. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like anything like that where a human can feel like they have completely given themselves over to something else that has become this decadence that they need to just submerge themselves into. That to me is sex, because that's what it is, right? Losing yourself to the rhythm of what it is that's happening between you and another person. And so I feel like, and that's where I brought that into my writing recently, was through a possession story and a haunted story. So, I feel like as far as if I could put sex into any of the horror I would create, it's probably more there than anywhere.
Oh yeah, and I like that you said possession. It brings me to the movie came out in the '70s, Abby. Where the woman she was possessed by a sex demon. And it was it got wild.
What do they call Dicey? Incubus.
Succubus for a woman.
Succubus.
I think male for incubus. I think male incubus, woman succubus.
That's right.
Yeah, it's always
stories. Yeah, I love those.
It's always a fun time. Now, do you guys have a favorite character in horror that you've seen that you're just like, yo, this person or demon or vampire just like drips of sex appeal, because for me when I was watching films, I would say like Bordello of Blood, like Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood, Angie Everhart. Back when I saw her, I was just like, yo, this is it. Just dripping with sex appeal. Every time I watch that movie. And that's
gosh, there's so many. That's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, Gary Oldman as Dracula.
Billy Zane.
Elvira. Billy Zane. Yeah, I mean, I could go down a long list.
What's his name that just played Dahmer? I think he can bring out some sex appeal in his characters. You know, I know I'm the worst.
I'm drawing a blank on his name.
I know, and that's unusual for you. She's
Yeah,
usually
because
like
I just said his name yesterday when we were talking.
Yes. Oh gosh, I don't remember his name now. It was almost there. Anyway, he's been in a lot of the American Horror Stories. I feel like it just depends on who. You just made me think of something that I thought was really random. Real life horror. Richie Ramirez, the guy in LA, he was a fucked up human, right? He had brain damage, and he didn't even know who he was, but there was a photo that they had of him, and he was like sex. Like he was he looked extremely possessed. And that was the photo that they had used to circulate to find him. So when they actually had, accosted him, half the women were like trying to, grab him, and they worshiped him because of that picture, versus the other half were like, this piece of shit, and they wanted to rip him apart. But I mean, I think you just probably as an actor, you have to find that spot of, and it's not trying to be sexy. It is truly a spot of complete and utter release of yourself into this just absence of human beingness. Like you have no soul, and you are there to simply make others want. You know what I mean?
I was thinking about, here I have the Penny Dreadful poster right behind me, and most of that cast I felt was that way when they just, Eva Green, Josh Hartnett, the guy who played
Frankenstein.
Yes, the one who played.
I loved him.
Who was this? Him. Fuck.
She's like him. What? That one.
Yeah. But all of them on that show was just sex personified to me. They just oozed it. And I think that kind of with the dark tone of the show, and then being in that period, because they were in the Victorian period too. And then so the setting to me was sexy also, with the look, the tone, and everything.
The outfits. I mean, yeah. Beautiful. I love that show. So, moral of the story,
Dorian Gray. Sorry, he played Dorian Gray.
Oh yeah. Moral of the story, young listeners: if you're gonna ever have good sex in your life, you're gonna have to learn to let it go. Just like Frozen, let it go. Abandon yourself. Evan Peters. Now.
Yes, Jaleesa.
Jaleesa. Like I finally got it. Evan Peters.
Hey, Ivatries. Thanks for stopping by. Horror Movies and Beyond. But yeah, I think that is very important to get in that character and to just express that aura. You have to have that release. You have to let yourself go. That people will be. It's sort of like a magnetic force, basically. So people will be sucked in by your presence. So it's definitely up there.
I mean, I don't think you can have horror without having some sort of sex involved. I don't think they're inseparable.
Well, that kind of goes to the suspense too. Like it's a slow pull, a slow draw, and as the suspense, like what's going to happen next, is so it's a slow build, and then boom, something bad happens. Maybe if we're lucky.
Wow. See, and I didn't even think about that. The correlation between like suspense, and sexual climax, because it's a lot of correlations there. I like that. Now, my next question would be: do you guys have a favorite horror decade? Because we've had a lot of different decades throughout horror, and everybody has their favorite, or their couple favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I
Go
know
ahead,
you
Dicey.
do, Chantell. No, go ahead. I know you do.
The sexiest stuff throughout the as far as like movies, you mean, or
yeah, I would say like the sexiest decade of horror that you could
I mean,
think
oof.
Oh,
That's so hard.
I was sure you were going to say 80s.
No, I wasn't gonna say 80s.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's hard because I love the classics. I felt like there was sex appeal a lot in the way they were doing things. They were trying to bring out that macho-ness. They were trying to have people like so much of the mystery. That's what I'm trying to get the word out. There was so much mystery involved, and that involved, a lot of foreplay as far as like, the vampirisms were a representation of the penetration, and there was so much foreshadowing is what I'm trying to say. So to me, I don't mind a lot of that. But then, I mean, when we got Elvira in the picture, that changed a lot of things. So I don't know. It's hard to pick a decade. What do you think, Dicey?
I don't have a favorite. I can't say that I have a favorite. I will say that whatever is most current probably has the best special effects. So I'm going to go with that. So we might have some great storytelling and all that from the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. But the reason why they're redoing so much now is because you got better effects. And I love some good CGI. I mean, if it's done well, like even Blade, like watching Blade, which is also very sexy.
Why didn't we think of him?
Yeah. Oh, I'm as it comes up, I'll say it. But Blade is sexy as hell. The whole thing, even with him fighting in the chair and his moaning and groaning while he was getting shot up. It's like, what? Did you hear that? Because I'm hearing him moan and all that. But anyway, I digress. But they're redoing it with Mahershala now, and I know it's going to be because they just got some fantastic sci-fi, special effects that they're going to put in there, and I love the effects that they had then, especially the second one and all that. But I'm going to watch it. People are complaining about like remakes, and so am I, but at the same time, I'm going to watch it because why not? Because, if we're going to redo it and do it even better with the special effects, and I think that has some appeal. So I'm going to say whatever is most current because of the, yeah.
I can see that.
That's definitely understandable. We got Ivor Tree. She said 80s with
80s.
and then she said the Hammer films had more sexual tension. Yeah. Okay. I would agree. Now it's funny. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say the 80s definitely had a whole lot of tits. It was galore. Like you couldn't watch a horror film then without somebody just kind of swinging around.
Yeah, it was all over. It was all over during the 80s. It was very, very hair, boobs everywhere. A lot of sweat, a lot of a lot of chests out. It was a time. Even though I was only there for like 2 years. I was born in 88, but still, it was a time.
I would say now though we do at least have a little more balance. So it's not just women. Now we get more full frontal male nudity. I don't remember seeing a whole lot of that in the 80s. It was always the women that were naked with those little fake hairy bushes, and now they're showing a whole lot more dongs, and it's not like I have to see that, but I feel like why not? Like why not?
No, I get
exactly.
It. I remember when they first started showing it, I was just like, I was shocked. I was like, wow, like I'm not supposed to be seeing this. But then as time went on, it's like, oh, it's normalized now. People are showing full frontal, whatever. I'm like, all right, it's where it is what it is, So it's the times are evolving. We're definitely evolving in that aspect. But you had brought up Blade. it's funny because the other day, Marshala had announced that he was dropping out of the project, because of and I don't know if it's solely because of the writer strike and everything, but I know he was having issues prior. So I wanted to ask you two, who would you cast as a sexy Blade? Who would be your pick? For sexy
The guy,
Blade.
there's a young man that they have right now. I mean, his face is, he's just so sexy. It is the new series on Disney called the Secret Invasion. Have y'all seen that at all?
Yeah, I've seen the first. I've seen the first episode. So
Okay, so the young man who's playing the leader of the revolution, or whatever they're trying to do, I don't know his name. I just think that guy he would be amazing. He just has his look. I mean, he has this perfect face, like of just sex. Like, he is really adorable. Like, he's hot. I'm trying not to say hot because I feel really weird when I say a young person's hot, but he's very hot. And so I would love to see him play Blade, or somebody with that similar, that look that he is really doing well. I can't see it.
This guy. There we go.
Who is that?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I've seen him.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
Yeah.
What's he on?
Me neither. But I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I see him everywhere, and him. That's whoever anybody in the chat know his name. This guy.
He's like, this guy.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, he's one of the guys. He's definitely one of the, like, one of the black hunks out here, in the film industry.
Yeah.
I don't know his name exactly, but I know there we go. I knew Jaleesa was gonna come through.
Yes,
Coffee.
Yes.
Kofi. There we go.
Kofi or Coffee. I say Kofi. But yes, him.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he definitely make a good choice. I think he could pull it off. I definitely think
he has the bigger build for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's I don't know. I feel like Blade has swag. And that's what I feel like this guy has. Like, they got the demeanor, the BDE.
Mm-hmm. we got Arbitrary. She says Michael B. Jordan based on Black Panther. Okay, I could see a Michael B. Jordan a Blade, and it. Listen, we got the multiverse, so we could have 10 Blades coming through.
That's true.
We got the multi.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
that'd be something wild, actually, to because Blade, as we all know, Blade carried Marvel on his back, pretty much saved that company, so it's always nice. I hope they get it together. I hope they get it together over there.
Yeah.
This writer's strike and actor's strike is interesting. These are some interesting times to see what's going to happen, because a lot of stuff is just on hold. But being on hold is one thing. Him saying that he's done with it is a totally different thing.
Yeah, because it's sad. Yeah, I was excited when they announced he was cast. I was so excited. I was because I really liked him, especially in what was it, Moonlight.
Yes,
Moonlight. Yeah, he did a kick-ass job. But I know that he was having trouble behind the scenes with the writers and the producers and things like that. And I was like, oh, this isn't looking good. This isn't looking good. So I think with the writer's strike, it gave him like an easy out, basically, to say like, all right, I washed my hands of the project,
Yeah.
So
I was like, when they first started talking about bringing it back, I was like, what? Who in the world? And then as soon as they said that he was cast, I was like, oh yeah, I would see that. But I think they cast him before they even had a script written. Then and got the script or started writing on it. So it's probably not even gonna happen. Now that I think about it, because did they even have the script finished?
Yeah.
They kept going back and forth, and I think they even put like an Easter egg in one of the movies. I think it was like at the end of Eternals or one of those Marvel movies. They
I
had
think you're
Blade
right.
Sword, and I'm like, y'all don't even got a script yet. I ain't shot nothing.
I never watched the Eternals.
Yeah, I mean you're not missing much. You're not missing.
Yeah, I heard. I'm struggling with this phase of Marvel. I love Marvel, especially how the last phase ended. But I'm having difficulty getting into this one. This phase.
Yeah, they need to get it together. I think at this point, I think the best thing that's come out lately wasn't even technically like Marvel, was Sony, like this Into the Spider-Verse or the so it was they're doing it right over there. Ivor Tree says he was fantastic in Luke Cage. Yes. I don't know. I loved Luke Cage. The second season it struggled a little bit, but the first season, especially with like Alfred Woodard, crazy.
I mean, I think too that I only think that season struggled because they were planning on a season 3. It was a build-up season.
Yeah.
So I think it was intentional to be that way.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't even want to talk about that. That makes me mad that they canceled it on us.
That was a rights issue. Yeah. Disney came in and was like, give me that.
But then they have the shows on their damn channel now. So I'm like, really? Why can't y'all just keep it going,
Well, anyway. I think they said there were, especially they're starting with Daredevil again.
But are they going to use the same people?
Mm-hmm. It's the same people.
Okay.
Well, so far.
Okay. Well, let's see. They may make me wrong.
Yeah,
we've just been on a very long hiatus.
It's the same Daredevil. My issue is if it's Disney, it's going to be watered down.
Well, yeah, that's one of the things I was going to bring up, because I feel like now that it's on Disney Plus and everything, I don't think they're going to be humping like they were, on Netflix. So,
they brought the sex in those shows.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, they're really going there. And we kind of expected with like shows like The Boys or something like that on Amazon, but when it's got the Marvel logo, we're like, oh,
it's gonna be
it's gonna be Kitty.
They're not gonna be exploding penises from the inside. Come on.
No.
That was wild.
Yeah, The Boys definitely they definitely took it there. I really enjoy I don't think they've had a bad season yet. The Boys.
No, I don't think so.
It's been good. Yeah.
I'm a huge Supernatural fan, so when I got to see Dean on there, I was like, huh? And then his butt, I was like, I've been waiting.
So he never showed his butt on Supernatural. I didn't know all 175 episodes of it.
No,
never did. Huh?
I mean, they showed like the lower, how they get real low, but never.
Interesting.
I don't think they were allowed to.
Okay.
On regular national TV.
Well,
not on
ready
free
to
TV.
Express himself, and I'm here for it.
Yes.
I think he could be Batman. Cast him as Batman. I think he could be Batman.
Hey, there you go.
Because he's done the animated voice, Jason Nichols. He's done the animated, and he's got a great voice for it. So I think toss him into the live action. Even though right now we've got like 5 different Batmans on the movie screen.
Hey, multiverse it.
Well, I will say this: I have been enjoying the old Batman as the guy in The Witcher. He looks so good.
Yes. Oh, the was it Henry Cavill?
Yeah. I don't know the names.
Oh yeah.
He's little. This newest season, he's a little thicker than he used to be, but I like that personally.
They're replacing him. Because he was Superman. They're replacing him with I think
he was Superman.
Liam.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're doing that. I don't know.
It's gonna be I stopped watching it anyway, but I can't. The fans are already upset. They might as well just end it. End the show.
He's just hot to me with that long hair and those eye colors.
I think he's hot to everybody, man, woman. You know, like I haven't heard anybody say anything other than that is a beautiful man.
Yeah, Henry Cavill is that dude. You know, they definitely, you know, they definitely had a lot of sex appeal on that show. I watched the recent season. I feel like they kind of dropped the ball, you know, with the writing. I don't know what's going on.
Because the writer's strike was coming.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it in all the shows when it's happening, right before, as it's happening, and then right after. Yes. Like, it has been an interesting thing to go through. And I don't know. I don't know if the pandemic helped or made things worse and all that. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, well, I guess we'll see in the next couple of years how things are going, because I've already seen articles that some productions, like some shows or some films, are moving forward with non-SAG actors, you know, and people are saying, well, I'm not going to support it, you know, if they're not in the union, you know. So
yeah.
Well, that's, I think, what they call scabbing too. Like everybody's supposed to not be in those films or shows that are a subsidiary or any of those. Like that's, I mean, if you care to be a part of a union ever, then you won't cross the line. But indie, this is a great time for indie filmmaking, though.
Yes,
it is.
And Mark Ruffalo, he just put that out there because I know he started out indie, and I watched a lot of his indie stuff years ago. But this is a great time because we indie people are not a subsidiary. Like we have no ties to the union.
The big houses. Yeah. The big studios, not houses.
Yeah, the studios. Yes, that's what I mean. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's going to be a huge change. Change is coming, people. Change is coming. You know. Yes. So it's definitely coming. But my next question would be if you could name a horror film that you wish you could have been on the set for, you know, which horror film would that be?
Oh my God.
That's a hard one. I mean, I think I would love to have been on the set of Poltergeist. And the reason is because there's so many rumors about weird shit that happened on that set. Or The Exorcist. I would have loved to see like the weird shit that happened because of that as well. There's so many like tales, but of course on Poltergeist, one of the crew members later became a serial killer. So it would have been an interesting set, you know? I know, I have weird taste and stuff.
Oh, wow. I'm looking around in here at all my movie posters, hoping somebody can give me an answer.
She's like, all of them.
Yeah, I see Interview with the Vampire over there. I thought about that because then I'd be on set with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. But I think I'm going to go with something newer for shits and giggles. And that's because Terrifier is just terrifying. And when we were at Texas Frightmare, the creator, I think his name was Damien, and the clown Art, they had one scene in the second one that lasted 5 days. Like they tortured. It lasts a long time on screen too. But you know, I think the movie is funny. It's dark comedy, but I think it's funny. I think Art is truly a clown that's funny. And when I see the scene, I'm rolling, I'm laughing, it's funny. So being on the set, I imagine that it could be both intimidating but also fun. And then knowing that they spent 5 days filming that one scene that goes on and on and on tells me that is some dedication. I feel like I could learn a lot on that set about filmmaking in general, be around some people that are really serious about their craft too. And I would say that one. Yeah.
That would have been a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been top tier. It's always fun, you know. And it wouldn't have been cursed. I think that's Chantell, the two that you listed for both. I'm just
strange like that, you guys. I would have been down for Rosemary's Baby, and I'd been like, yeah, the devil. I was the kid. As soon as the parents like, y'all do your thing, I was like, here's my Ouija board. Who are we summoning? You know, like that was me.
How about Hereditary, Chantell, or
Ooh, wow, that would have been fantastic.
Midsummer, where they're actually doing the chanting and doing the rituals with
that,
you.
You know, that movie pissed me off.
I know, but I'm talking about like the ritualistic aspect of it.
No,
you know,
no.
What about Hereditary? You know, they have that whole.
No,
ritual.
I would have been down for Hereditary.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hereditary was a lot of fun. Midsummer was fun too, but there were a lot of parts that creeped the hell out of me. Creeped the hell out of me. You know,
that's why I thought Chantell would love going on that set because it's creepy.
It wasn't creepy to me at all. It was annoying.
You know, another one that I think would probably be interesting for you, Chantell, would be like the Conjuring movies with all those dolls.
Oh, this would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you love the dolls.
There and some of those I really loved, and some of them I didn't. They were like every couple or every 2 or 3 would totally blow, and I was like, the timing or something, like the editing of this film was off. It just was never like, it was too perfect. You know what I'm saying? So it just didn't feel organic. Oh.
And I get it, because I with the Conjuring universe, I feel like I really love the first. Well, I love the Conjuring trilogy, but as far as like when they started expanding Annabelle, like the first Annabelle, really wasn't feeling that one. The first Nun wasn't feeling that one, but I'm excited for the Nun too. You know, they got a Kayla Cooper, you know, behind that on the writing for that.
I saw that. Yeah,
you know.
look at that. Yeah,
and yes. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the future to see what they got coming out.
Yes.
Now,
I really love that one movie. Go ahead. I'll think of it because I can't remember the name.
Oh, okay. Now, about my next question was going to be, you know, we're in 2023, you know, and the horror community is vast, and we've got all sorts of people, you know, from different backgrounds, different walks of life, and different perspectives, you know, and I feel like it's way more celebrated now than it was, you know, back then. Like, I remember being in school and I was the only kid, you know, wanting to bring like the Evil Dead DVD to sleepover. You know, everybody else was like, "Oh, let's watch Boys in the Hood. Let's watch, you know, Love Jones." And I'm like, I've got the Evil Dead, you know, and
especially Black community, yes.
So it's like how does it feel for you guys to be in the horror community in this time in 2023?
Oh, it's fantastic.
It feels wonderful.
We here in Houston, we have this event that we have that's about 3 years now they've been doing it, and it is it's blown up. It's called the Houston Horror Film Fest, and I mean last year we had over 10,000 people there on just the Saturday. Wow. And this is year 3, and so people are just in the horror community so kind to each other. You know, they're so welcoming to each other. They're so united. I felt like it didn't feel like anybody was there like, there was no cliques. We were all just this huge weirdo family. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I would say it feels like a community, a united community, and I hope it stays that way, because, you know, anytime something, I hate to be the person, but you know that other shoe might drop, and I don't want that to happen, because so far I'm really enjoying the explosion and the way things are happening, going great. I can remember other things that I enjoyed for a while too, that poof. So hopefully it continues to go strong, that we have a lot of great creativity to come out of it as well. It gives me something to look forward to, because it's like, oh, I have people that are actually waiting on my next book. You know, yes. I don't have to. I never want to force anything on anybody or try to convert people. Like, that's not my thing. But this is a good way for me to find like minds already. We're already in the same area. We're around people who enjoy the same type of thing, and I don't have to feel some kind of way because I got tattoos out. You know, I don't have to cover up. I don't have to try to pretend to be this soft, gentle person. You know, like I got the professional life over there, but I can leave that behind and actually immerse myself in stuff that's a little dark and twisted. And I appreciate being able to talk to other people who are on that same wavelength. We enjoy the same thing. And I don't have to try to say, you know, there's no argument about it. Like if I say something and in this group about the Bible or something, or if I put some religious spin on something, I don't have to worry about people
being offended.
Yeah, and wanting to argue about it. You know, we're just gonna have a good time. I think a lot of people are respectful of. We all are most of the time kind of outliers in certain situations, or maybe even growing up, always kind of were the outsiders, or just not really fitting in. And I'm not saying that I really fit in here perfectly or anything. I'm just saying it's just there's a less layers to have to peel back. Like I'm already into some things that we have in common right off the bat. So, you know, if I just start talking to somebody about something that's off-putting to other people, like, you know, even when I talk about the Terrifier, I might mention that to some people, they're gonna have a fit. Or if we talk about, or even just this, you know, the planchette, a lot of people don't fuck with no Ouija boards. You start talking about Ouija boards, they don't want to have nothing to do with it. And here I can go into this community and wear my shit and be like, yeah, and be like, oh, well, who made that, or where'd you get it from? You know what I mean? So this is a great time. I'm loving it. It's wonderful. And from this, I've decided that I do want to do more themed stuff, things that are already in my field, around people that already are interested in what I'm interested in, instead of going somewhere and having to pick through those people until I can find the people who are interested.
Yeah.
Yes. I know. I completely agree, especially with like the rise of horror conventions, you know, and just more places for us to come together and, you know, just converse and celebrate. Like recently, last weekend, I had went to BlurCon with my fiance, and we had met up with some horror content creators down there, and they had a panel, you know, talking about like the history of Black horror, you know, and it was just dope to be in a vicinity where, you know, it's celebrated, and, you know, everybody's, you know, because sometimes you're looked at a certain way, and, you know, you're like, oh, that's some weird shit or whatever, but just being around people and everybody's like, oh yeah, I get it, you know, like you listen to, like, I can listen to a horror podcast, you know, like the No Sleep podcast, where it's narration and, you know, someone's getting decapitated, and, you know, that's my lullaby right there, you know, and I can explain that to somebody and they'll be like, oh yeah, I get it. Like they don't question my sanity or anything like that. You know?
They don't tell you they got to pray for you, because that's what I get. I'm going to pray for you. Okay.
And remember, now we're down in the Bible Belt, so yeah, we still get some people that act a little bit of a fool. Some people will protest markets and stuff here.
Wow.
As well. Yeah, because we just had that book festival, the book fair we went to this past weekend, and I kept saying, can't we call some churches to come protest? Because we didn't have enough people coming. I'm like, we need some people outside protesting, getting the news involved, so people see that there's a horror book convention happening. It wasn't really for horror books only, but I'm like, we got to make up something. We need more people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Still happens down here. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's wild, because you think, as you know, the times as times would change, and, you know, things would evolve and more things are accepted, but, you know, still some people are still stuck in that mindset.
You should see the amount of books being banned in Texas. It's ridiculous. Out of schools.
Wow.
Including The Diary of Anne Frank.
Wow.
Anything that has to do with sexual orientation. I'm actually a banned author in Florida. One of the books I was in got banned.
Oh, well, congratulations. Congratulations.
So yeah, I mean, we, like you said, we take 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. It feels like, you know.
Yeah.
We got to
Yeah.
just keep doing it, though. We just got to keep overwhelming them, everyone. Keep creating. Keep
Yeah.
demanding what you want. Keep being who you are.
There's always like a shock factor, like I remember being in school and we had like this book, I think it was called like Blood and Chocolate, and it opened up, somebody said shit, and like the first page or the first word was shit. So it was like a big uproar, and the parents were like, oh, we gotta get this book out of here. And to I don't know, it was too much, and then seeing all the things that are going on in Florida, and just you guys area, it's just like, yo, this is what are we doing? What are we doing here?
Oh yeah, that's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, we got Sean 420. Thanks for stopping by, Sean.
Hi, Sean.
Yes, yes. Well, all right. So my next question would be, if is there a horror film that you wish you could see again for the first time?
I really love Sinister.
Yes.
Every time when I watch it now, I haven't, it's still so well done. That's a movie set to be on right there. The camera angles, the lighting, it was just so well done.
Absolutely. And for the sake of time, I guess I'm gonna agree with you on that one. Sinister is brilliant. And I had a chance to be on a panel with C. Robert Cargill, the creator of that film. And at the time, I hadn't watched it yet. Can you imagine? I hadn't watched 1 or 2 at the time. I didn't realize I was sitting right next to this brilliance. I wish I could go back and redo that. But yeah, Sinister is absolutely fantastic. And if I could watch that again for the first time, yes.
Yes. Sinister was one of those films that I had caught in the movie theater by myself. And, just it was on a matinee, it's weekday matinee.
There is nobody theater in there.
Yeah, nobody in there. It's just wild. Like, it was Sinister and Insidious. That was the other movie that I caught by myself. And Insidious was just like, I thought there was somebody else in the theater in the back of me, Like, then I got up, the movie was over, and saw there was nobody there, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I ventured into the further, there was somebody back there.
There could have been somebody in there, you just couldn't see him in this room.
Oh yeah, wow. Sean 420 says Gremlins 1984. Yes.
Oh, that was such a good one.
I say Gremlins 2 was sexy. I'd classify Gremlins 2 as sexy. It had the woman, the female gremlin in there. So it's definitely had its aspects. Now, does horror do anything for you specifically for your mental health? Because a lot of people say it speaks to them in different ways. So does it do anything for your mental health?
I say it does for me, because I have gone through a lot of personal trauma in my youth, and I feel like, it's like I'm also, I don't know if I'm a practicing pagan. I'm a witch, and so I believe in energy and frequencies, and I feel that when you're on a certain wavelength or a certain frequency, many things can't really get to you. You have like that movie with Robin Williams where his wife was like kind of sunk down into this place, and he had to kind of sink down to find her. I feel like that's a very good visual understanding of what I'm trying to say. And I feel like that horror can bring you out of that, right? A perfect example, when we were at Texas Frightmare this year, we had witnessed a man come to the Terrifier panel, and he was the last one to speak, and he said, I went to a party with my friends and my family, and he's like, I was in such a depressed state, I tried to be there for them, and then I left, and I came home, and I was like, well, that's it, I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to end it, I'm done. And he said he literally sat down, and the TV, I don't know if it came on or if he just turned it on just to have something on before he went upstairs. And he put on Netflix, and there was Terrifier, and he thought, what the fuck is it? And he watched it, like he put it on just to have it on, and then he couldn't get up and leave. And he said, this saved my life. because that's the frequency he was on. He was that low, that deep into his depression that he couldn't see anything. Nothing was real to him, and that popped him back into reality. So I think it's valuable. You know, it helps as long as once you come out of where you're at. Like he started making shows, he started making movies himself, and you know, you have to know that everybody has the possibility of creating something. And if you don't have a possibility of creating something, you have the possibility of helping somebody who wants to be creative and supporting them. So I think, yeah, I think it's a valuable part of our mental health. Sorry, that's my dog throwing a fit because he wants in the room. If y'all can hear him in the background.
Oh no, he's fine. He's fine.
Okay, Dicey.
I thought what you just said was so beautiful, just like, and it takes me back to that panel when he spoke at the end. I recorded that, and I need to get that out because that was something that I feel like the world should hear. Whoever can receive it should. But it was a beautiful story, and yes, I mean it definitely helps with my mental health. But that's writing in general, you know, and being creative in general. But like I said before earlier, that it helps me to process my own thoughts and feelings. So for some people, they journal. They might put down certain things. For me, it comes out in fiction. Early on when I was writing, I had this belief that there was no way I was ever going to put my real thoughts on paper or my real feelings or real anything because there's always the possibility that somebody might find it, and I don't ever want anybody to really know what I really think.
Yeah.
So that's how I started writing fiction. Like I can put some truth in here. Nobody will ever know what's real. You know, it's devious, whatever. But so it's not journaling, but I am working through stuff. And so, you know, as a writer, you get the urge and you must write. You know, it's not a question for me whether I am or not. And the longer that I go without writing, it's like a buildup inside. It's like a pressure cooker where I'm going to explode if I don't get it out and I start writing it out. Like I can feel the darkness seeping in, and it's so. What I was saying on the panel we had the other night is that it's like an exorcism for me. So I'm getting it out so it doesn't stay in, but I put it in the form of fiction. And that is how I am able to stay sane.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I love it. I love both your answers. It's probably two of my favorite answers to that question that I've asked people so far. Now my next question would be, do you have a favorite horror villain? You know, and it could be from a movie, it could be from a book, anywhere, you know.
I love the new Pennywise. I thought the Skarsgård guy did
beautiful.
He added emotion to a character that you know, that I was like, wow, I can actually I can what's the word, empathize with this guy now. Like but now I do, you know. So I yeah, that was an incredible creation.
Yeah. I love Pennywise. I just love villains. They get to do things for they have the balls that most people don't have. I'll put it that way. And sometimes a killing needs to be done, and they're willing to do it. Like, you know, like Thanos and in the Marvel, since we were talking about Marvel earlier. We really are destroying the planet, and probably about 50% of us do need to be gone. You know, that's not it doesn't make us feel good to say that, but somebody has the guts to actually do it. Now he went about it wrong, trying to kill other people. You know, like why did you kill yourself? But anyway, another tangent. But I love villains, you know, because they are going to do what needs to be done, even no matter who gets hurt.
Yeah.
Who is my favorite villain though is in horror, it's so hard to describe, but I'm gonna say Dracula, just because so I'll stay with the vampire theme. but I don't really see them as villains either. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So they are the villains, but they don't feel like villains to me.
Yeah.
Dracula
Yeah.
is the ultimate character for me, who historically is like a villain because he kills, but to me is I guess maybe anti-hero would be the correct way to describe it.
Well, yeah, especially like depending on how it's written.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes Dracula can be an asshole, you know, and just like straight up hardcore, but sometimes, you know,
Oh
it can be a
well.
little bit softer, you
If
know.
he's
So
an
He
asshole,
was he
well,
was just trying to eat dinner, y'all.
yeah. I mean, like, what's that meme going around? Vampires need your blood to live. They just need vitamin D or so because they can't go into the sunshine. You know, be kind to them or whatever. Like, you, shit, I have to find the
I
meme.
mean, but think about that. If vampires were real, what if we all had to leave like so much blood outside of our house every day so that they wouldn't massacre our family? You see, this is what a writer does. They just
yeah, I'm like
think of the
that's
weirdest shit.
that'd be a great that's a great you know, plot device right there. You know, leaving the blood out, so they won't mess with you, you know.
I mean, you just never know. There are some vampires like the ones I feel like they were vampires, but the strain. You know,
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, they were like parasitic creatures, but also they were vampires. They were a form of vampire to me.
Yes.
They're a little bit harder to understand, but I think anybody or anything who's written as a villain, if they're written as a good villain, has a perspective, has a point of view. And it's just the storyteller's job to help us see both.
Yes, yes, I agree. I definitely agree. Now my next question for you guys would be, you know, we're in an age of like the metaverse, and you know, virtual reality is starting to step its game up, you know, intertwined with AI and everything. Like we're all just going to be soon walking around just with our avatars. We're not even going to be on cam. It's just going to be avatars everywhere, you know. So if I were to put on the Oculus goggles, you know, and the virtual reality goggles, what would I see if I stepped into each of your worlds? You know, like what would I see? Like describe the sky, you know, the scenery and everything. Like what would I see? Chantell, I'm gonna start with you. What would I see if I put the goggles on?
Very irritable when I drive. um, mostly guy. Like I will see men and my face will turn. I'm like just like a man when it comes to seeing hot women. I'll be like, "What's that? Wait." My husband says I'm cockeyed because I notice penis too much. No, I'm extremely creative. Everything I do is creative. I create music. I write. I paint. I create jewelry. I was doing a huge project that I'm putting on pause, but I just constantly create. I'm also a hairstylist by trade, so
Okay.
I'm creating there too. So I somehow I live by my art. You know, somehow I've been able to make it in this world and do okay just by my creations.
Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. What about you, Dicey?
You would see someone that looks like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Like I'm literally like split in two. I got this side where I got to wear all these different hats, and over here I got to wear all these different hats. And most of the time there's not enough time in the day. There's not enough. I don't have enough energy for all of it. So I do some things well some days, poorly the next day, well the next day. You know, just kind of picking and choosing what I'm on. And then some days I don't do shit. I am just kaput.
She's like, I'm done. I'm done for the day.
I'm not doing anything at all. So I'll just sit and look at the ceiling. No, I'm not joking. But yeah, my world would look very even you could ask me the same things that you asked me on one day and I'm going to feel one way about them. You could ask me that same thing the next day and I might feel a little different. Like it's literally like a roller coaster, up, down, up, down. So Yeah, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, I guess. Just kind of yin yang, in, out, up, down, just searching for balance constantly.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's human nature.
Yeah, searching for balance and peace, ultimately. Peace and
Yeah.
happiness.
Yes. Yes. That's the goal. Finding that balance and finding that peace. We got a Sean 420. He says, "What is your favorite vampire movie?" Ooh, that's a good question.
Mm. Mm. That's really, really difficult, but I'll say the one that pops into my head first since it popped. And that's Dracula Untold. I really love what they did with
Okay.
that. Because we got like an origin story for Dracula. I love the effects with the bats and all that. I thought it was pretty intense. Luke Evans gave a great performance. Um, yeah, but all of them. Like the real answer is all of them. I just love
Yeah.
them.
That's too hard. Yeah, I never have a favorite of anything specifically. I try to. I have trained myself to enjoy what I'm seeing if it captures me and just enjoy it for what it is. So I mean, I haven't seen one yet that I'm like, forget this. So I would have to say I've enjoyed all the interpretations. I did like the one on the Netflix only because I got to see Dracula kind of mature, if you will.
Yeah.
He went from this creature to this, intelligent, almost like humanoidish, man.
Yes.
So I felt that was an interesting take, like she said, the growth of Dracula.
Yes, I love that you bring that up because I was just going to ask you guys about that one. The Netflix Dracula BBC. That it just is top tier. It's probably my favorite iteration of Dracula. So
Yeah.
far that I've seen. Like I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to the last voyage of Demeter?
Yes, yes, yes.
That's good.
It's just so many different ways that they could tell that story. So I'm interested to see.
Yeah, very, very much
Interested to
so.
see.
Interview with the Vampire is up there for me too.
Yes, a lot of people.
I really like what they're doing with the new series too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of people. I have not seen it yet. My fiance, she's seen it. She says she loves it, and everyone else who's checked it out says they just fallen in love with it. That and Mayfair Witches, but
I'm a Mayfair book person. I'm the book person. The show is okay. I don't hate it, but the book I've read it several times.
Gotcha. So nothing's gonna top the book.
Not for
Gotcha.
me. No.
All right, now we've come to my last question, of the interview for you guys. I want to thank you for rocking out with me so far and answering all my questions. It's been a lot of fun. But my last question is, if you could spend 24 hours being your favorite horror character, it could be one of your favorite horror characters. It could be a person, it could be a demon, it could be a creature, it could be an entity, anything or anyone for 24 hours, who would that be?
That's a tough one, man.
Hmm.
I think I'd want to be one of the children that was invincible and looked innocent, but could lure people in and eat them or something. I would only get the people that I felt like were just totally a waste of space and didn't need to be in my face anymore. I don't know how I would judge it, damn it. But this is what my evil persona would think of, okay?
I respect it.
If I could be a character, oh dear God.
You would be Dracula. Don't try to pretend.
Okay, well which iteration of Dracula then?
Well, what about like the ones underworld type vampires? Would you want to be one of them?
Oh, okay. Selena.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind being a werewolf either.
Yeah.
I love werewolves.
Yeah, I could pick Selena. I could live in her world. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, she scales buildings, you know.
Yeah. Selena would work.
She wants to go around being nice. I want to go around murdering. Wait, I didn't say that alive, right?
I don't want to be murdering people. I just want the power to, like, when somebody starts yapping, poof, and be able to just move them out of my way.
Oh, but I don't know, you guys. Now you just reminded me. Queen of the Damned, when she could just blow people up with her mind.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel that coming through me. I'm like, you are so lucky right now that I don't have the power to blow you up with my mind.
I would like to have the powers. Yeah, that's all I want. I don't want to seek people out to kill them, but I want to be able to go.
Girl, you don't go past 20 people a day that you're like, fuck this motherfucker.
Yeah, but if
Damn, 20.
But I could either go poof and remove myself from the situation, or go poof and remove them. Like, I don't even have to kill them; they can just be gone, like, out of my face. That's all I want. Like I said, peace and happiness.
Sure.
That's well, thank y'all for your answers. That was hilarious. But yes, again, thank y'all for, you know, stopping by and chatting it up with me, and, you know, allowing me to get to know you guys a little bit better, you know, through your love for the genre, you know, and what you guys got going on. Everybody, thank you for checking out this episode. Thank you for checking out the show. Thank you for stopping by, Sean 420, you know, Ivories, Jaleesa, Dice. Thank y'all for stopping by and hanging out. Everybody who's watching the playback, the links to their work is in the description. The links to the podcast, the links to their literary work is also in the description as well. Make sure that you check them out. Again, we got Dicey, Grinner, and Chantell, Renee in the building. You know, it's been an honor. You know, erotic horror authors. You know, it's just I was so excited about this episode. I'm so glad that you guys, you know, joined me.
Thank you for having us
so much, Evol, and thank you for everyone who joined us for either 5 minutes or the whole time. I'm glad you were here.
Or they come on later.
Yeah, or
watch all of our babbling.
Right, or listen later. This has been a great pleasure. Always happy to meet other people in the genre, and always love the opportunity to chat things that I love talking about anyway.
Yes.
Well, that's been another episode of Evol Live, folks. And as always, peace, love, and horror